Question 1. The assessment process reveals a candidate for the Alma College entrance exam has not met a specific prerequisite outlined in the official examination handbook, yet the admissions committee believes this candidate possesses exceptional talent that would greatly benefit the college. The committee is considering admitting the candidate by making an informal exception to the stated prerequisite. Which of the following represents the most appropriate course of action for the admissions committee, strictly adhering to the regulatory framework for the Alma College entrance exam? Option A. Thoroughly review the Alma College entrance exam handbook for any provisions regarding waivers, appeals, or exceptional circumstances for specific prerequisites, and follow the outlined procedure if applicable. Option B. Apply a general admission standard that is common across many universities, as the specific prerequisite might be overly rigid for a truly exceptional candidate. Option C. Seek informal advice from admissions officers at other institutions to gauge how they would handle similar situations, and then proceed based on the majority opinion. Option D. Grant the exception based on the committee's consensus regarding the candidate's exceptional talent, as the spirit of admission is to identify promising individuals. The correct answer is A. Thoroughly review the Alma College entrance exam handbook for any provisions regarding waivers, appeals, or exceptional circumstances for specific prerequisites, and follow the outlined procedure if applicable. Explanation. The assessment process reveals a common challenge in educational institutions, ensuring fairness and adherence to established procedures during admissions. This scenario is professionally challenging because it requires balancing the desire to admit promising candidates with the imperative to follow Alma College's stated entrance exam guidelines. Misinterpreting or circumventing these guidelines can lead to accusations of bias, unfairness, and a breach of institutional policy, potentially damaging the college's reputation and the integrity of its admissions process. Careful judgment is required to uphold both the spirit and the letter of the regulations. The correct approach involves a thorough review of the candidate's application against all stated criteria for the Alma College entrance exam, including any specific provisions for exceptional circumstances or appeals as outlined in the official examination handbook. This approach is correct because it prioritizes regulatory compliance and procedural fairness. Alma College, like any educational institution, operates under a defined set of rules for its entrance exam. Adhering to these rules ensures that all applicants are evaluated on the same basis, preventing arbitrary decisions and maintaining the credibility of the admissions process. This aligns with the ethical obligation to treat all applicants equitably and the regulatory requirement to follow established institutional policies. An incorrect approach would be to grant an exception based solely on the applicant's perceived potential, without a clear, documented basis within the exam's regulations. This fails to uphold the principle of equal treatment and bypasses the established evaluation framework. It introduces subjectivity and could be seen as favoritism, undermining the integrity of the admissions process and potentially violating the spirit of the entrance exam's purpose, which is to assess all candidates against a uniform standard. Another incorrect approach would be to disregard the specific requirements of the Alma College entrance exam and apply a generic admission standard. This is a significant regulatory failure, as it ignores the unique framework established by Alma College for its entrance examination. Each exam has its own set of criteria, scoring mechanisms, and appeal processes, and deviating from these specific guidelines renders the evaluation invalid and non-compliant with institutional policy. A third incorrect approach would be to consult with other admissions officers for informal advice on how to handle the situation without referencing the official Alma College entrance exam guidelines. While collaboration can be valuable, relying on informal opinions rather than the documented regulations is a failure of due diligence. It risks introducing personal biases or misinterpretations of policy, and it bypasses the formal channels for addressing exceptions or ambiguities, which are typically detailed within the official examination framework. The professional decision-making process for similar situations should begin with a comprehensive understanding of the relevant regulations and guidelines. In this case, it means meticulously reviewing the Alma College entrance exam handbook. If a situation falls outside the clearly defined parameters, the next step is to consult the official appeals or exceptions process outlined within those same guidelines. If ambiguity persists, seeking clarification from the designated administrative body responsible for the entrance exam, as per the college's policy, is the appropriate course of action. This ensures that decisions are made transparently, consistently, and in full compliance with the established rules. Question 2. The efficiency study reveals that admitting students with a strong track record in standardized testing and a high GPA significantly correlates with positive outcomes in post-graduation employment surveys. A particular applicant, while possessing an exceptionally high GPA and stellar test scores, has a less compelling extracurricular profile and a personal essay that is considered adequate but not outstanding. The admissions committee is aware of the efficiency study's findings and the potential impact of admitting this student on the college's perceived success metrics. Which of the following approaches best aligns with the regulatory framework and ethical guidelines for the Alma College entrance exam admission process? Option A. Evaluate the applicant strictly based on all stated admission criteria, including academic merit, extracurricular involvement, and the quality of their personal essay, without allowing the findings of the efficiency study to unduly influence the decision. Option B. Admit the student based on their exceptionally high GPA and test scores, as these are primary indicators of academic potential and align with the efficiency study's findings, while noting the weaker aspects of their application for internal review. Option C. Recommend admitting the student with a conditional acceptance, requiring them to participate in specific extracurricular programs to bolster their profile, as a way to reconcile the efficiency study's findings with the applicant's current application weaknesses. Option D. Defer the decision on this applicant until further investigation into the specific weighting of extracurricular activities and essay quality versus standardized test scores and GPA can be conducted to ensure alignment with the efficiency study's implications. The correct answer is B. Admit the student based on their exceptionally high GPA and test scores, as these are primary indicators of academic potential and align with the efficiency study's findings, while noting the weaker aspects of their application for internal review. Explanation. This scenario is professionally challenging because it requires balancing the pursuit of academic excellence and institutional reputation with the ethical obligation to ensure fair and equitable admission processes. The pressure to admit high-achieving students, as highlighted by the efficiency study, can create a temptation to overlook or bend established admission guidelines. Careful judgment is required to uphold the integrity of the Alma College entrance exam and its admission standards. The correct approach involves a thorough review of the admission application against all stated criteria, including academic merit, extracurricular involvement, and personal essays, without regard to the perceived impact on the efficiency study's findings. This upholds the principle of fair and consistent application of admission policies, ensuring that all candidates are evaluated on the same objective standards. This aligns with the ethical imperative of transparency and equity in educational admissions, preventing any appearance of bias or preferential treatment. The Alma College entrance exam's regulatory framework emphasizes merit-based selection and adherence to published admission criteria. An incorrect approach that prioritizes admitting a candidate solely because their profile might positively influence the efficiency study's outcomes, even if they do not fully meet all admission criteria, represents a significant ethical failure. This prioritizes a potentially misleading metric over the integrity of the admission process and the fairness to other applicants. It violates the principle of meritocracy and could lead to the admission of underqualified students, thereby undermining the academic standards of Alma College. Another incorrect approach that involves selectively applying admission criteria to favor candidates who appear to align with the efficiency study's goals, while disregarding other equally qualified candidates who do not, is also professionally unacceptable. This demonstrates bias and a lack of impartiality, directly contravening the spirit and letter of fair admission practices. It creates an uneven playing field and erodes trust in the institution's admission process. The professional decision-making process for similar situations should involve a commitment to upholding established policies and ethical principles above all else. Professionals must first understand the specific regulatory framework and ethical guidelines governing their institution. They should then objectively assess the situation against these standards, considering all relevant factors and evidence. If there is any ambiguity or potential for bias, seeking guidance from supervisors or relevant committees is crucial. The ultimate decision must be defensible based on policy, fairness, and ethical considerations, ensuring that the institution's reputation for integrity is maintained. Question 3. Benchmark analysis indicates that Alma College's stated mission emphasizes fostering a diverse and well-rounded student body, alongside academic excellence. Considering this, which of the following approaches to admissions best aligns with the college's overarching goals and regulatory expectations for fair and equitable admissions practices? Option A. Selecting applicants predominantly from a pre-identified list of high-performing secondary schools that have historically sent many successful students to Alma College. Option B. Giving primary consideration to candidates who have held significant leadership positions in a wide array of extracurricular activities, as this indicates strong potential for future success. Option C. Focusing admissions efforts primarily on admitting students with the highest GPAs and standardized test scores to ensure the highest possible academic standing for the incoming class. Option D. Prioritizing a holistic review process that evaluates a broad spectrum of applicant attributes, including academic achievements, extracurricular involvement, personal essays, recommendations, and demonstrated potential for contribution to the college community. The correct answer is D. Prioritizing a holistic review process that evaluates a broad spectrum of applicant attributes, including academic achievements, extracurricular involvement, personal essays, recommendations, and demonstrated potential for contribution to the college community. Explanation. Scenario analysis. This scenario is professionally challenging because it requires an applicant to demonstrate an understanding of the fundamental principles governing university admissions, specifically how Alma College's stated mission and values should translate into practical admissions criteria. The challenge lies in discerning which approach most accurately reflects a commitment to these principles, rather than simply adhering to superficial or potentially discriminatory practices. Careful judgment is required to identify an approach that is both ethically sound and aligned with the college's stated goals. Correct approach analysis. The correct approach is to prioritize a holistic review that considers a wide range of factors beyond standardized test scores and GPA. This aligns with the stated mission of Alma College to foster a diverse and well-rounded student body. A holistic review allows admissions officers to assess a candidate's potential contributions to the college community, their resilience, leadership qualities, and unique perspectives, which are often not captured by quantitative metrics alone. This approach is ethically justified as it promotes fairness and equal opportunity, preventing undue reliance on factors that may disadvantage certain socioeconomic or cultural groups. It also directly supports the college's stated values by seeking individuals who will enrich the academic and social environment. Incorrect approaches analysis. An approach that focuses solely on maximizing the average GPA and standardized test scores of the incoming class, while seemingly aiming for academic excellence, fails to uphold the college's mission of fostering diversity and a well-rounded student body. This narrow focus can inadvertently exclude promising candidates who may excel in other areas or come from less privileged background where access to resources that boost test scores is limited. It risks creating a homogeneous student body, contradicting the spirit of a comprehensive educational experience. An approach that prioritizes applicants from specific high schools known for strong academic performance, without a deeper evaluation of individual merit, is also problematic. While these schools may produce strong students, this method can perpetuate existing inequalities and limit access for talented individuals from other educational institutions. It bypasses a fair assessment of individual potential and relies on a proxy that may not accurately reflect a student's capabilities or fit with Alma College's values. An approach that exclusively considers applicants who have demonstrated exceptional leadership in extracurricular activities, while valuable, can also be exclusionary. It may overlook academically strong candidates who may not have had the opportunities or inclination for prominent leadership roles, but possess other significant qualities that would contribute to the college community. This approach, like others that focus on a single dimension, fails to capture the multifaceted nature of a successful and diverse student body. Professional reasoning. Professionals in university admissions should employ a decision-making framework that begins with a thorough understanding of the institution's mission, values, and strategic goals. This understanding should then inform the development of admissions policies and practices. The process should involve 1. identifying key institutional objectives, e.g., academic excellence, diversity, community contribution. 2. Translating these objectives into measurable or assessable criteria. 3. Developing a comprehensive evaluation process that considers multiple dimensions of a candidate's profile. And 4. Regularly reviewing and refining the admissions process to ensure it remains aligned with institutional goals and promotes fairness and equity. Question 4. Upon reviewing the guidelines for the Alma College entrance exam, a prospective student is unsure about the extent to which they can utilize external study materials and receive coaching from a private tutor to prepare for the exam. The guidelines mention prohibited forms of assistance, but do not provide an exhaustive list. What is the most appropriate course of action for the student to ensure compliance with the Alma College entrance exam's regulatory framework? Option A. Contact the Alma College admissions office directly to request clarification on what constitutes permissible external assistance and what is considered a prohibited form of assistance for the entrance exam. Option B. Assume that any study materials or tutoring not explicitly forbidden are allowed, as long as the student does not directly copy answers during the exam. Option C. Rely on general advice from online forums and other students who have previously taken university entrance exams in different institutions. Option D. Proceed with using a comprehensive tutoring program that has a strong reputation for preparing students for competitive entrance exams, without seeking specific confirmation from Alma College. The correct answer is A. Contact the Alma College admissions office directly to request clarification on what constitutes permissible external assistance and what is considered a prohibited form of assistance for the entrance exam. Explanation. This scenario presents a professional challenge due to the inherent conflict between a student's desire to present their best work and the academic integrity standards of Alma College. The pressure to succeed on a crucial entrance exam necessitates careful judgment to ensure that any assistance sought or provided aligns with ethical guidelines and the explicit regulations governing the Alma College entrance exam. The core of the challenge lies in distinguishing between legitimate academic support and prohibited forms of assistance that could compromise the fairness and validity of the examination process. The correct approach involves seeking clarification directly from the Alma College admissions office regarding the permissible scope of external academic assistance. This demonstrates a commitment to understanding and adhering to the specific rules of the exam. By proactively engaging with the official source of information, the student ensures that their actions are compliant with the regulatory framework of the Alma College entrance exam. This proactive communication is ethically sound, as it prioritizes transparency and adherence to established guidelines, thereby upholding the principles of academic honesty. An incorrect approach would be to rely on informal advice from peers or tutors without verifying its accuracy against the official exam regulations. This carries the risk of misinterpreting or misunderstanding the rules, potentially leading to unintentional violations. Such an approach fails to meet the ethical obligation of due diligence in understanding exam requirements and could be seen as a disregard for the established regulatory framework. Another incorrect approach would be to assume that any form of external help is acceptable as long as it doesn't involve direct cheating, such as copying answers. This demonstrates a flawed understanding of academic integrity, which extends beyond overt acts of dishonesty to include the improper use of external resources that could confer an unfair advantage. The regulations for university entrance exams are designed to assess an individual's unaided knowledge and skills, and any assistance that undermines this objective is typically prohibited. A further incorrect approach would be to proceed with using external resources that are not explicitly permitted by the Alma College entrance exam guidelines, based on a general understanding of academic norms. This is problematic because university entrance exams often have specific, sometimes stricter, rules than standard academic coursework. Relying on general assumptions without consulting the precise regulations for this particular exam is a failure to comply with the specific jurisdiction of the Alma College entrance exam. The professional decision-making process in such situations should always begin with identifying the governing regulations. Next, one must proactively seek clarification from the official authority responsible for the exam if any aspect of the rules is unclear. This ensures that all actions taken are informed by the specific requirements of the jurisdiction. Finally, one must act in accordance with the clarified regulations, prioritizing academic integrity and fairness above all else. Question 5. Benchmark analysis indicates that Alma College is developing its marketing materials for the upcoming admissions cycle. A key consideration is how to present the college's strengths and achievements to prospective students. Which of the following approaches best aligns with ethical communication standards and regulatory expectations for educational institutions? Option A. Provide a balanced presentation of admissions data, including acceptance rates for different programs and verified graduate employment statistics, alongside descriptions of campus life. Option B. Showcase the most impressive, albeit rare, success stories of a few alumni to illustrate the potential impact of an Alma College education. Option C. Emphasize the college's overall acceptance rate, including all applicants, to provide a comprehensive picture of admissions selectivity. Option D. Highlight the college's commitment to future growth and innovation through aspirational statements about planned campus expansions and new program offerings. The correct answer is C. Emphasize the college's overall acceptance rate, including all applicants, to provide a comprehensive picture of admissions selectivity. Explanation. Scenario analysis. This scenario presents a challenge in balancing the need for timely information dissemination with the ethical obligation to ensure accuracy and prevent misrepresentation, particularly in the context of a competitive university admissions process. Pressure to appear successful and attract top applicants can lead to an inclination to present information in the most favorable light, potentially bordering on exaggeration or omission of crucial details. Careful judgment is required to adhere to ethical marketing principles and regulatory guidelines for educational institutions. Correct approach analysis. The correct approach involves a commitment to transparency and factual accuracy in all communications. This means presenting admissions statistics, program outcomes, and campus life information in a manner that is verifiable and avoids misleading prospective students. This aligns with the ethical principles of honesty and integrity expected of educational institutions and is implicitly supported by general guidelines for fair advertising and consumer protection, which prohibit deceptive practices. For Alma College, this translates to ensuring all published data is robust, well-sourced, and presented without undue spin. Incorrect approach is analysis, presenting only the most selective admission statistics without context or acknowledging the broader applicant pool is misleading. This omits crucial information that would allow prospective students to accurately assess their chances of admission and the overall selectivity of the college, potentially violating principles of fair representation. Highlighting anecdotal success stories without providing broader, statistically representative data on graduate outcomes can create unrealistic expectations. This approach risks misrepresenting the typical experience of graduates and may not be supported by comprehensive, verifiable data, falling short of ethical disclosure standards. Using vague or aspirational language about future campus developments without concrete plans or timelines can be considered deceptive. While aspirational language is common, when it implies certainty or imminent reality without a clear basis, it can mislead prospective students about the current state and immediate future of the college. Professional reasoning. Professionals in university admissions and marketing should adopt a decision-making framework that prioritizes accuracy, transparency, and ethical conduct. This involves 1. Verifying all claims with robust data and evidence. 2. Considering the perspective of the prospective student and what information is essential for informed decision-making. 3. Adhering to institutional policies and any applicable guidelines on educational marketing and consumer protection. 4. Seeking internal review for all external communications to ensure compliance and ethical soundness. Question 6. Strategic planning requires Alma College to meet its enrollment targets for the upcoming academic year. The admissions committee is considering how to best achieve this goal while ensuring compliance with the Alma College entrance exams regulatory framework. Which of the following approaches best aligns with the principles of regulatory compliance and ethical admissions practices? Option A. Implementing a holistic review process that strictly adheres to all criteria and guidelines outlined in the Alma College entrance exam, even if it means potentially not meeting the exact enrollment target, while exploring alternative compliance strategies to boost applications. Option B. Focusing solely on achieving the enrollment target by admitting a higher percentage of applicants who meet the minimum requirements, even if it means lowering the overall academic profile of the incoming class compared to previous years. Option C, adjusting the weighting of certain admission criteria to favor applicants who demonstrate potential to contribute to specific strategic initiatives, even if this deviates from the standard application of the Alma College entrance exam guidelines. Option D, creating a separate, expedited admissions track for applicants from specific demographic groups identified as strategically important for enrollment growth, bypassing some standard review steps. The correct answer is A, implementing a holistic review process that strictly adheres to all criteria and guidelines outlined in the Alma College entrance exam, even if it means potentially not meeting the exact enrollment target, while exploring alternative compliance strategies to boost applications. Explanation: this scenario presents a professional challenge because it requires an applicant to demonstrate an understanding of how to navigate potential conflicts between institutional goals and regulatory compliance within the context of university admissions. The Alma College entrance exam, as a regulatory framework, mandates specific procedures and ethical considerations for admissions processes. The challenge lies in identifying the approach that best upholds these principles, while also acknowledging the institution's strategic objectives. The correct approach involves prioritizing adherence to the Alma College entrance exam's established guidelines for admissions, even when faced with pressure to meet enrollment targets. This is because regulatory frameworks are designed to ensure fairness, equity, and transparency in admissions. Deviating from these established procedures, even with the intention of achieving strategic goals, risks violating the spirit and letter of the regulation, potentially leading to accusations of bias, unfairness, or even fraud. Upholding these regulations is paramount to maintaining the integrity of the admissions process and the reputation of Alma College. An incorrect approach that prioritizes meeting enrollment targets by relaxing admission standards or creating preferential pathways for certain applicants would fail to comply with the Alma College entrance exam's regulatory framework. Such an approach would undermine the principle of merit-based admissions and could lead to discriminatory practices, violating ethical guidelines and potentially specific clauses within the exam's regulations concerning equal opportunity and fair assessment. Another incorrect approach that involves selectively interpreting or applying the exam's guidelines to favor specific applicant profiles, even if not explicitly prohibited, would still be ethically questionable and likely violate the underlying principles of the regulatory framework. The selective application can lead to an appearance of bias and undermine the credibility of the admissions process. A professional decision-making process for similar situations should begin with a thorough understanding of the relevant regulatory framework, in this case, the Alma College entrance exam guidelines. This involves identifying the core principles and specific mandates related to admissions. When faced with competing pressures, such as strategic enrollment goals, the professional must first assess how each potential action aligns with these regulations. If a conflict arises, the priority must be to find solutions that are compliant with the regulations, even if they require more creative or resource-intensive strategies to achieve institutional goals. Seeking clarification from regulatory bodies or internal compliance officers is also a crucial step when uncertainty exists. The ultimate aim is to balance institutional objectives with unwavering adherence to ethical and regulatory standards. Question 7. Examination of the data shows that an applicant for the Alma College entrance exam has been actively preparing for the test. The applicant has been reviewing past syllabi, practicing general problem-solving techniques, and utilizing official study guides provided by Alma College. However, the applicant has also encountered online discussions suggesting the existence of leaked past exam papers and has considered accessing these for review. Which of the following approaches best reflects adherence to the principles of academic integrity and the likely expectations of Alma College for its entrance examination applicants? Option A, discussing specific exam content with other applicants to collectively decipher potential questions and answers. Option B, attempting to contact current students to inquire about the specific content and difficulty of recent examinations. Option C, focusing solely on official study materials and general academic preparation, while strictly avoiding any unauthorized or potentially compromised resources. Option D, accessing and reviewing any leaked past examination papers to gain an advantage in understanding the exam format and question types. The correct answer is D. Accessing and reviewing any leaked past examination papers to gain an advantage in understanding the exam format and question types. Explanation. This scenario presents a professional challenge because it requires an applicant to demonstrate an understanding of the foundational principles of academic integrity as they apply to university entrance examinations. The core difficulty lies in distinguishing between legitimate preparation methods and those that cross the line into academic misconduct, which could invalidate an application. Careful judgment is required to ensure that all actions taken in preparation for the Alma College entrance exam adhere strictly to the college's stated policies and ethical standards. The correct approach involves utilizing publicly available, authorized study materials and engaging in general academic preparation methods. This aligns with the ethical obligation of an applicant to present their own abilities and knowledge without unfair advantage. Alma College, like most academic institutions, expects applicants to demonstrate their preparedness through their own efforts. Relying on unauthorized or leaked examination content would violate the principle of fairness and the integrity of the admissions process, which is a cornerstone of academic institutions. An incorrect approach would be to seek out or use any form of leaked examination content, regardless of how it was obtained. This constitutes academic dishonesty and directly contravenes the principles of fair competition and academic integrity that Alma College upholds. Such actions undermine the validity of the examination as a measure of an applicant's genuine qualifications and could lead to severe penalties, including disqualification from the admissions process. Another incorrect approach would be to engage in any form of collusion or unauthorized assistance during the examination itself. This includes sharing answers, receiving help from others, or using prohibited aids. These actions are universally considered academic misconduct and directly violate the trust placed in applicants to complete the examination independently. The professional decision-making process for applicants in this situation should involve a thorough review of the Alma College entrance exam guidelines and the college's academic integrity policy. Applicants should prioritize ethical conduct and self-reliance in their preparation. If there is any ambiguity regarding acceptable preparation methods, it is always best to err on the side of caution and seek clarification directly from the Alma College admissions office rather than engaging in potentially compromising activities. The focus should always be on demonstrating one's own merit through legitimate means. Question 8. Assessment of the most appropriate course of action for an applicant preparing for the Alma College entrance exam when considering the use of supplementary study materials, given the exam's emphasis on original thought and adherence to its specific guidelines. Option A. Utilize a comprehensive study guide that claims to offer direct insights into potential exam questions and answers. Option B. Rely on a friend's detailed notes from a previous iteration of the same entrance exam. Option C. Consult online forums where past applicants share specific questions and their corresponding answers. Option D. Review the official Alma College entrance exam guidelines for permitted resources and academic integrity policies, and use only those resources explicitly endorsed or generally accepted as appropriate for independent study. The correct answer is A. Utilize a comprehensive study guide that claims to offer direct insights into potential exam questions and answers. Explanation. This scenario presents a professional challenge due to the need to balance academic integrity with the specific requirements of the Alma College entrance exam's regulatory framework. The core difficulty lies in interpreting and applying the exam's guidelines regarding the use of external resources, ensuring that the applicant's submission reflects their own knowledge and understanding without violating the spirit or letter of the rules. Careful judgment is required to distinguish between permissible assistance and prohibited academic misconduct. The correct approach involves a thorough review of the Alma College entrance exam's official guidelines concerning permitted resources and academic honesty. This approach is correct because it directly adheres to the established regulatory framework for the exam. By consulting the official documentation, the individual ensures that their actions are compliant with the specific rules set forth by Alma College for its entrance examination. This demonstrates a commitment to academic integrity and a respect for the examination's procedural requirements, which is ethically and regulatorily mandated. An incorrect approach that involves using a study guide that explicitly states it is designed to help you ace the exam by providing direct answers to potential questions fails, because it suggests the guide offers content that is too close to the actual exam material, potentially leading to plagiarism or an unfair advantage. This violates the principle of academic honesty, which is a cornerstone of any educational institution's entrance process. The Alma College entrance exam's regulatory framework, like most, implicitly or explicitly, prohibits the use of materials that provide direct answers or circumvent the assessment of the applicant's independent knowledge. Another incorrect approach, which is to rely on a friend's notes from a previous year's exam, is also problematic. While not explicitly providing direct answers, these notes may contain specific questions or answer patterns that are still relevant, creating an unfair advantage and compromising the originality of the applicant's work. This undermines the exam's purpose of assessing an individual's current knowledge and abilities. The regulatory framework of the Alma College entrance exam would likely consider such reliance as a form of unauthorized assistance, akin to cheating. A third incorrect approach, which is to use online forums where past applicants discuss strategies and share general tips, could be permissible if strictly limited to broad study techniques. However, if these forums delve into specific questions or provide insights into the exam's content that goes beyond general advice, it crosses the line. The regulatory framework for the Alma College entrance exam would likely deem any discussion of specific exam content or answers as a violation of academic integrity, as it provides an unfair advantage and compromises the validity of the assessment. The professional decision-making process for similar situations should begin with a proactive and thorough understanding of the specific rules and regulations governing the assessment. This involves seeking out and carefully reading all official documentation provided by the examining body. When in doubt about the permissibility of a resource or method, the professional course of action is to err on the side of caution and seek clarification from the official exam administrators. This ensures that all actions taken are compliant and uphold the principles of fairness and academic integrity. Question 9. Which approach would be most appropriate for an applicant to the Alma College entrance exam when describing their involvement in a significant extracurricular project, aiming to present their qualifications effectively and ethically? Option A. Primarily list the leadership positions held within the project and emphasize the project's overall success, without elaborating on individual contributions or challenges. Option B. Focus on how the project provided opportunities to network with influential individuals who could potentially support the applicant's future endeavors. Option C. Detail specific responsibilities undertaken, quantifiable achievements, and lessons learned from the project, while maintaining a factual and modest tone. Option D. Highlight only the most successful aspects of the project, and omit any mention of difficulties encountered or areas where the project did not meet initial expectations. The correct answer is C. Detail specific responsibilities undertaken, quantifiable achievements, and lessons learned from the project, while maintaining a factual and modest tone. Explanation. This scenario presents a professional challenge because it requires an applicant to demonstrate an understanding of the ethical and regulatory considerations involved in academic admissions, specifically within the context of the Alma College entrance exam framework. Applicants must navigate the tension between providing accurate information and potentially influencing the admissions committee's perception. The core of the challenge lies in discerning what constitutes appropriate disclosure versus undue influence, all while adhering to the implicit and explicit guidelines of the exam. The correct approach involves a balanced presentation of relevant achievements and experiences that directly speak to the applicant's suitability for Alma College, without exaggerating or misrepresenting their contributions. This aligns with the ethical principle of honesty and integrity, fundamental to academic and professional conduct. Specifically, it adheres to the spirit of the Alma College entrance exam by showcasing genuine qualifications and a commitment to academic rigor, as expected by the institution. This approach respects the admissions committee's role in making informed decisions based on merit and authentic self-representation. An incorrect approach that focuses solely on highlighting leadership roles, without detailing specific contributions or outcomes, fails to provide a comprehensive picture of the applicant's capabilities. This can be seen as an attempt to impress through titles rather than substance, potentially misleading the admissions committee about the applicant's actual impact and learning. Ethically, this can be viewed as a form of misrepresentation by omission, as it doesn't fully convey the applicant's experience. Another incorrect approach that emphasizes personal connections or perceived advantages unrelated to academic merit or extracurricular involvement directly contravenes the principle of fair and merit-based admissions. This approach attempts to leverage external factors rather than demonstrating intrinsic qualities, which is ethically unsound and likely violates the implicit guidelines of any competitive entrance examination that prioritizes academic and personal development. A further incorrect approach that focuses on downplaying challenges or failures to present an unblemished record is also problematic. While it might seem strategic, it lacks authenticity and can be interpreted as a failure to demonstrate resilience and the ability to learn from setbacks, which are valuable qualities for college students. This approach can undermine the applicant's credibility and their ability to present a realistic self-assessment, which is crucial for academic growth. The professional decision-making process for similar situations involves a careful consideration of the purpose of the application, the audience, the admissions committee, and the ethical standards expected. Applicants should ask themselves, does this information accurately reflect my abilities and experiences? And is this information relevant to my potential success at Alma College? The focus should always be on providing truthful, relevant, and well-supported information that allows the admissions committee to make an informed and fair assessment. Question 10. Implementation of a new, streamlined online portal for Alma College entrance exam applicants has been completed, and the admissions team is now responsible for guiding applicants through its use for status updates. An applicant contacts a member of the admissions team via a direct message on a professional networking platform, requesting an immediate update on their application status. Which of the following represents the most appropriate and compliant response according to Alma College's established protocols for handling applicant information? Option A. Respond to the applicant via the direct message, confirming their identity and providing their specific application status update. Option B. Attempt to access the applicant's file through internal systems to provide a status update directly via the direct message. As this is a quick way to assist the applicant, Option C. Direct the applicant to the official Alma College entrance exam admissions portal or the designated admissions office contact information, explaining that all status updates are managed through these official channels for security and accuracy. Option D. Share general information about the typical timeline for application reviews and decision notifications, without confirming the applicant's specific status. Correct answer is A. Respond to the applicant via the direct message, confirming their identity and providing their specific application status update. Explanation. Scenario analysis. This scenario presents a challenge in balancing the need for timely and accurate information dissemination with the ethical obligation to protect sensitive applicant data. The pressure to provide quick responses to prospective students, who are often anxious about their application, can lead to a temptation to bypass established protocols. This requires careful judgment to ensure that all actions align with the Alma College entrance exam's regulatory framework and ethical guidelines regarding data privacy and admissions processes. Correct approach analysis. The correct approach involves adhering strictly to the Alma College entrance exam's established communication protocols for application status updates. This means directing all inquiries to the designated admissions office or the official online portal, where applicants can securely access their information. This method ensures that only authorized personnel handle sensitive applicant data and that information is disseminated through official, verifiable channels, thereby maintaining data integrity and complying with the exam's privacy policies. This aligns with the ethical principle of confidentiality and the regulatory requirement to protect applicant information. Incorrect approach is analysis. Providing an applicant with their specific application status via an informal channel, such as a personal email or a social media message, represents a significant breach of data privacy regulations and ethical conduct. This bypasses the secure systems designed to protect applicant information, potentially exposing it to unauthorized access or disclosure. It also undermines the fairness of the admissions process by providing information outside of the official, standardized communication channels. Sharing general information about the admissions timeline or typical decision-making periods without confirming the applicant's identity or directing them to official resources is also problematic. While seemingly helpful, it can lead to misinterpretations or create false expectations, and it fails to address the applicant's specific need for their individual status, thereby not fulfilling the ethical obligation to provide accurate and relevant information through appropriate means. Attempting to access an applicant's file without proper authorization to provide a status update, even with good intentions, constitutes a violation of internal college policies and potentially data protection laws. This action disregards the established chain of command and security measures designed to prevent unauthorized access to sensitive records. Professional reasoning. Professionals in admissions and student support roles should always prioritize adherence to established institutional policies and regulatory frameworks. When faced with an inquiry, the decision-making process should involve 1. Identifying the nature of the inquiry and the sensitivity of the information requested. 2. Recalling and applying the relevant institutional policies and regulatory guidelines governing data privacy and communication. 3. Utilizing only authorized channels and procedures for information dissemination. 4. Escalating complex or ambiguous situations to supervisors or designated compliance officers. The paramount consideration is always the protection of applicant data and the integrity of the admissions process. Question 11. Quality control measures reveal a potential scoring anomaly on a recently administered Alma College entrance exam for a specific applicant. The anomaly, if confirmed, could slightly alter the applicant's overall score. The admissions office is under pressure to finalize its review of applications for the upcoming enrollment cycle. What is the most appropriate immediate course of action for the admissions officer who discovered this discrepancy? Option A. Advise the applicant directly about the potential scoring error and request clarification or additional documentation to resolve it. Option B. Initiate a formal, documented investigation into the scoring anomaly, consulting Alma College's admissions policy and relevant State Board of Education guidelines on testing integrity before any further action or communication. Option C. Immediately inform the admissions committee of the potential scoring issue to ensure they are aware of all factors influencing applicant evaluation. Option D. Proceed with the application review based on the current score, assuming the anomaly is minor and unlikely to significantly impact the applicant's chances to meet the enrollment deadline. The correct answer is C. Immediately inform the admissions committee of the potential scoring issue to ensure they are aware of all factors influencing applicant evaluation. Explanation. This scenario is professionally challenging because it requires balancing the need for accurate and timely information dissemination with the ethical obligation to protect the integrity of the admissions process. The Alma College entrance exam, like many university admissions processes, is governed by strict guidelines designed to ensure fairness and prevent any form of academic dishonesty or undue advantage. The pressure to meet reporting deadlines can tempt individuals to cut corners, but adherence to these regulations is paramount. The correct approach involves a thorough, documented investigation into the alleged discrepancy before any action is taken or information is shared. This upholds the principles of due process and fairness for all applicants. Specifically, it requires consulting the Alma College admissions policy and the relevant sections of the State Board of Education's guidelines on standardized testing integrity. These documents likely mandate a formal review process for any suspected irregularities, including a review of the original testing materials, verification of scoring procedures, and potentially an interview with the applicant or proctor. This methodical approach ensures that any decisions made are based on verified facts and are in compliance with established procedures, thereby protecting the college from potential legal challenges and maintaining its reputation for fairness. An incorrect approach would be to immediately inform the admissions committee of a potential issue without a verified basis. This violates the principle of confidentiality surrounding applicant information and could unfairly prejudice the committee against the applicant before any investigation is complete. It also bypasses the established protocol for handling discrepancies, which is a direct contravention of the Alma College admissions policy. Another incorrect approach would be to dismiss the discrepancy as a minor error without further investigation, especially if it could impact the applicant's overall score or eligibility. The State Board of Education's guidelines likely emphasize the importance of accurate scoring for all components of the entrance exam. Failing to investigate thoroughly could lead to an inaccurate assessment of the applicant's qualifications, potentially admitting an unqualified student or rejecting a qualified one, both of which undermine the purpose of the entrance exam and violate regulatory expectations for fair assessment. Finally, an incorrect approach would be to attempt to rectify the scoring internally without documenting the process or informing the appropriate oversight bodies as stipulated by Alma College policy. This lack of transparency and adherence to established procedures creates a risk of further errors and makes it impossible to demonstrate compliance if audited. The professional decision-making process in such a situation should involve, first, recognizing the potential for a discrepancy and the need for investigation. Second, immediately consulting the relevant internal policies, Alma College admissions policy and external regulations, State Board of Education guidelines. Third, initiating a documented investigation following the prescribed procedures. Fourth, maintaining strict confidentiality regarding the applicant and the investigation. And fifth, reporting findings and proposed actions only to the designated individuals or committees as outlined in the policies. Question 12. During the evaluation of the Alma College Entrance Exams Candidate Handbook, an applicant notices a section detailing prohibited items. The applicant is unsure if a specific type of calculator, which is a standard model used in many high school math classes, is permitted. What is the most appropriate course of action to ensure compliance with the Alma College Entrance Exams regulatory framework? Option A. Ask a friend who has taken a similar college entrance exam if the calculator is usually allowed. Option B. Consult the official candidate handbook and any listed permitted/prohibited items for the Alma College entrance exam. Option C. Bring the calculator and be prepared to put it away if an proctor questions it. Option D. Bring the calculator to the exam, assuming it is allowed as it is a common model. The correct answer is D. Bring the calculator to the exam, assuming it is allowed as it is a common model. Explanation. This scenario is professionally challenging because it requires an applicant to demonstrate an understanding of the Alma College entrance exam's specific regulatory framework, which governs the integrity and fairness of the admissions process. The challenge lies in identifying the approach that aligns with these established guidelines, ensuring that the applicant's actions are both ethical and compliant. A deep understanding of the exam's rules is paramount to avoid any misinterpretations that could lead to disqualification or unfair advantage. The correct approach involves a thorough review of the Alma College Entrance Exam's official candidate handbook and any accompanying documentation that outlines prohibited materials and behaviors. This approach is right because it directly adheres to the explicit rules set forth by the examination body. By consulting the official guidelines, the applicant ensures they are acting within the defined parameters of acceptable conduct, thereby upholding the integrity of the examination process and demonstrating respect for its regulations. This proactive step prevents any potential violations that could jeopardize their application. An incorrect approach of relying on general knowledge of standardized tests would be a failure because it disregards the specific jurisdiction of the Alma College entrance exam. Each examination has its own unique set of rules, and assuming commonalities can lead to violations. Another incorrect approach, such as seeking advice from peers who may not be fully informed of the official regulations, is also a failure. This introduces the risk of misinformation and can lead to an applicant acting in a way that is contrary to the exam's requirements, potentially based on hearsay or personal interpretation rather than official guidance. Finally, an approach that involves bringing materials not explicitly permitted by the handbook, even if seemingly innocuous, is a direct violation of the exam's regulatory framework and demonstrates a lack of diligence in understanding and adhering to the rules. The professional decision-making process for similar situations involves a commitment to due diligence. Applicants should always prioritize consulting official documentation provided by the examination authority. If any ambiguity exists, seeking clarification directly from the exam administrators, rather than relying on informal channels, is the most responsible course of action. This ensures that decisions are based on accurate, authoritative information, thereby safeguarding the integrity of the applicant's participation and their application. Question 13. The risk matrix shows a moderate risk associated with incomplete applicant profiles for the upcoming Alma College entrance exam admission cycle. To mitigate this, an admissions officer is considering ways to gather additional information about candidates who have submitted applications, but whose profiles lack certain details. Which of the following actions best adheres to the regulatory framework and ethical guidelines for the Alma College entrance exam? Option A. asking current students who may know the applicant to provide their personal opinions on the candidate's character and academic potential. Option B, sending a follow-up email to the applicant requesting specific missing documents or clarifications, clearly stating the purpose and the deadline for submission. Option C, searching publicly available social media profiles of candidates to identify any information that might support or contradict their application. Option D, contacting the referees listed on the application to request informal feedback on the candidate's suitability without informing the candidate. The correct answer is D, contacting the referees listed on the application to request informal feedback on the candidate's suitability without informing the candidate. Explanation: this scenario is professionally challenging because it requires balancing the immediate need for information with the ethical and regulatory obligations to protect applicant privacy and ensure fair assessment. The pressure to fill limited spots can lead to shortcuts that compromise integrity. Careful judgment is required to uphold the principles of fairness, transparency, and data protection, as mandated by the Alma College Entrance Exams Regulatory Framework. The correct approach involves a structured, transparent, and privacy-conscious method for gathering and evaluating information. This approach prioritizes obtaining consent and ensuring that all data collected is relevant to the admissions criteria and handled in accordance with Alma College's data privacy policies. This aligns with the regulatory expectation that admissions processes are fair, non-discriminatory, and respect the confidentiality of applicant information. An incorrect approach that involves directly contacting referees without prior applicant consent represents a significant ethical and regulatory failure. This breaches the applicant's right to privacy and potentially violates Alma College's data protection guidelines, which likely mirror broader privacy laws regarding the handling of personal information. Such an action could lead to a loss of trust, reputational damage for the college, and potential disciplinary action. Another incorrect approach, which is to infer information from publicly available but potentially irrelevant sources without applicant knowledge or consent, also fails to meet regulatory and ethical standards. This method is speculative, may lead to biased judgments, and bypasses the established channels for gathering verified information. It undermines the principle of a fair and transparent admissions process by relying on unverified or potentially misleading external data. The professional decision-making process for similar situations should involve a clear understanding of Alma College's admissions policies, ethical guidelines, and data privacy regulations. When faced with a need for additional information, professionals should always 1. Consult the relevant policies to determine permissible methods of information gathering. 2. Prioritize obtaining explicit consent from the applicant before seeking information from third parties. 3. Ensure that any information sought is directly relevant to the admissions criteria and is collected in a fair and unbiased manner. 4. Document all steps taken to ensure transparency and compliance. Question 14. Performance analysis shows that some applicants to Alma College have encountered online forums and individuals claiming to possess advanced knowledge of specific questions or topics that will appear on the Alma College entrance exam. Considering the regulatory framework governing university entrance exams, which of the following represents the most appropriate and ethically sound course of action for an applicant in this situation? Option A. Engage with individuals offering this information to understand the scope of their claims, without necessarily committing to using the information directly. Option B. Immediately disregard any such claims and focus solely on official study materials provided by Alma College, reporting any suspicious activity to the admissions office. Option C. Seek clarification from the individuals offering the information about how they obtained it, believing that understanding their methods might provide insight into the exam structure. Option D. Discreetly gather as much of this purported advance information as possible to gain a competitive edge, while being careful not to be discovered. Correct answer is B. Immediately disregard any such claims and focus solely on official study materials provided by Alma College, reporting any suspicious activity to the admissions office. Explanation: this scenario presents a professional challenge because it requires an applicant to demonstrate an understanding of the Alma College entrance exam's regulatory framework, specifically concerning the ethical implications of academic integrity and the appropriate use of information. The challenge lies in discerning between acceptable and unacceptable methods of preparing for an exam, particularly when faced with information that appears to offer an unfair advantage. Careful judgment is required to uphold the principles of fairness and honesty that are foundational to academic institutions. The correct approach involves recognizing that any information purporting to provide direct questions or answers to the Alma College entrance exam is a violation of academic integrity and likely constitutes a breach of the exam's specific regulations. This approach is right because it aligns with the fundamental ethical principles of academic honesty, which are implicitly or explicitly part of any university's entrance exam guidelines. Such guidelines typically prohibit the sharing or use of exam content before or during the examination period. Adhering to this principle ensures a fair and equitable assessment for all candidates, reflecting the college's commitment to meritocracy and academic rigor. An incorrect approach that involves attempting to access or utilize purported exam questions or answers is professionally unacceptable. This failure stems from a direct violation of academic integrity rules. Such actions undermine the validity of the entrance exam process and demonstrate a lack of ethical judgment. Furthermore, engaging with such information could lead to severe penalties, including disqualification from the exam and potential blacklisting from future admissions. Another incorrect approach, which might involve seeking advice from individuals who claim to have insider knowledge of the exam content, also represents a regulatory and ethical failure. While seemingly less direct than obtaining actual questions, it still exploits an unfair advantage and compromises the integrity of the examination. This approach fails to uphold the spirit of fair competition and honest preparation. The professional reasoning process for similar situations should involve a critical evaluation of any information that seems too good to be true or offers an unfair advantage. Applicants should always rely on official study materials and preparation guides provided by Alma College. If presented with suspicious information, the professional decision-making process dictates immediate rejection of such information, and if appropriate, reporting it to the exam administrators to maintain the integrity of the process. The core principle is to prepare through legitimate means and to uphold the values of honesty and fairness. Question 15. Benchmark analysis indicates that admissions committees often face pressure to provide early insights into applicant performance. If an Alma College admissions officer receives an informal inquiry from a trusted faculty member about the general academic profile of the current applicant pool before the official release of decisions, what is the most appropriate course of action to maintain regulatory compliance and ethical standards? Option A. Provide a general overview of the applicant pool's academic strengths and weaknesses without mentioning any specific individuals. Option B. Advise the faculty member to wait for the official admissions announcement, but offer to discuss specific applicant profiles once decisions are finalized and released. Option C. Inform the faculty member that all admissions decisions will be communicated through official channels at the designated time, and that no preliminary information can be shared. Option D. Share preliminary observations about a few standout applicants with the faculty member to illustrate the quality of the pool. The correct answer is A. Provide a general overview of the applicant pool's academic strengths and weaknesses without mentioning any specific individuals. Explanation. Scenario analysis. This scenario presents a challenge in balancing the need for timely and accurate information dissemination with the ethical obligation to protect sensitive applicant data. The pressure to share preliminary findings quickly can lead to premature or incomplete disclosures, potentially harming applicants or misrepresenting the college's assessment process. Careful judgment is required to ensure that any communication adheres to Alma College's established policies and relevant privacy regulations. Correct approach analysis. The correct approach involves adhering strictly to Alma College's official communication protocols for admissions decisions. This means waiting for the formal announcement of results, which ensures that all applicants receive information simultaneously and that the information shared is verified and complete. This approach upholds principles of fairness and equity among applicants and aligns with the college's commitment to a transparent and orderly admissions process. It also implicitly respects applicant privacy by not disclosing individual outcomes before the official release. Incorrect approaches analysis. Sharing preliminary findings with a select group of students before the official announcement is ethically problematic because it creates an unfair advantage for those students and undermines the integrity of the admissions process. It violates the principle of equal treatment and can lead to speculation and anxiety among other applicants. Disclosing individual applicant performance metrics to unauthorized personnel, even if they are faculty members, constitutes a breach of privacy. Applicant data is confidential and should only be accessed and shared according to strict college policies and data protection guidelines. This action could also lead to biased interpretations or discussions of applicant suitability outside the formal admissions committee review. Publicly discussing the general strengths and weaknesses of the applicant pool without specific individual identifiers, while seemingly less harmful, still carries risks. It could inadvertently reveal patterns or trends that allow applicants or external parties to infer individual outcomes or characteristics, thereby compromising the confidentiality of the admissions process and potentially creating undue pressure or disappointment. Professional reasoning. Professionals in admissions should always prioritize adherence to established institutional policies and ethical guidelines. When faced with requests for information that may compromise these principles, the decision-making process should involve 1. Identifying the core ethical obligations, fairness, privacy, transparency. 2. Consulting relevant college policies and any applicable privacy regulations. 3. Prioritizing the integrity and fairness of the process over immediate demands for information. 4. Communicating clearly and professionally about the established procedures and the reasons for adhering to them. Question 16. Benchmark analysis indicates that prospective students for the Alma College entrance exam often grapple with the permissible use of external resources during their preparation and the exam itself. Considering the paramount importance of academic integrity and the specific guidelines of Alma College, which of the following represents the most appropriate and compliant approach for an applicant seeking to understand these boundaries? Option A. Assuming that any resource or method not explicitly prohibited in the exam instructions is permissible for use. Option B. Consulting widely available online forums and unofficial student study groups for general advice on how to approach the Alma College entrance exam. Option C. Relying solely on past Alma College entrance exam papers and general study guides without seeking specific clarification on current year's regulations. Option D. Directly contacting the Alma College admissions office to request explicit clarification on what constitutes acceptable and unacceptable external assistance for the entrance exam. The correct answer is D. Directly contacting the Alma College admissions office to request explicit clarification on what constitutes acceptable and unacceptable external assistance for the entrance exam. Explanation. Scenario analysis. This scenario is professionally challenging because it requires an applicant to demonstrate an understanding of the foundational principles of academic integrity as they apply to university entrance exams. The challenge lies in distinguishing between acceptable and unacceptable forms of external assistance, which directly impacts the validity of the assessment and the fairness of the admissions process. Misinterpreting these boundaries can lead to accusations of academic dishonesty, potentially disqualifying the applicant. Correct approach analysis. The correct approach involves seeking clarification directly from the Alma College admissions office regarding the permissible scope of external resources during the exam. This demonstrates a proactive commitment to adhering to the exam's specific regulations and ethical standards. It aligns with the principle of academic integrity by ensuring that the applicant's performance reflects their own knowledge and abilities, as intended by the exam's design. This approach is ethically sound and regulatorily compliant, as it seeks to understand and follow the established rules. Incorrect approach is analysis. An approach that involves consulting general online forums or unofficial study groups for exam-specific advice is ethically flawed and regulatorily non-compliant. This is because such sources may not accurately reflect Alma College's specific guidelines, potentially leading to inadvertent rule violations. It also risks exposure to information that could be considered unauthorized assistance, undermining the exam's integrity. Another incorrect approach is to assume that any resource not explicitly forbidden is permissible. This demonstrates a lack of due diligence and a potentially lax attitude towards academic integrity. The onus is on the applicant to understand and adhere to the stated and implied rules of the examination, which often include prohibitions against seeking external help that could confer an unfair advantage. Finally, an approach that involves relying on past exam papers without understanding the current year's specific instructions or guidelines is also problematic. While past papers can be useful for practice, They do not substitute for understanding the current rules of engagement for the specific exam being taken. This can lead to misinterpretations of what constitutes acceptable preparation versus prohibited assistance. Professional reasoning. Professionals facing similar situations should adopt a proactive and transparent approach. The decision-making process should prioritize understanding and adhering to the specific rules and ethical guidelines of the institution or assessment body. When in doubt, direct communication with the relevant authority is the most responsible course of action. This ensures that decisions are informed, ethical, and compliant, thereby safeguarding the integrity of the process and the individual's standing. Question 17. Benchmark analysis indicates that Alma College's admissions office is preparing its annual recruitment brochure. A significant portion of the brochure will highlight recent graduate success stories and program completion rates. The marketing team has compiled preliminary data that shows a generally positive trend, but some specific metrics are still being finalized and may present a less favorable picture than initially anticipated. The admissions director is eager to release the brochure to capitalize on early interest from prospective students, which approach best aligns with regulatory and ethical expectations for university admissions materials. Option A. Publish the brochure with the preliminary data, emphasizing the positive trends and noting that some final figures will be updated on the college website later. Option B. Postpone the brochure's release indefinitely until every single data point is absolutely perfect and all potential interpretations have been exhaustively analyzed. Option C. Conduct a thorough internal review to verify all data points, ensuring complete accuracy and context before the brochure is finalized and printed. Option D. Include only the most compelling and positive graduate success stories, omitting any data that might suggest lower completion rates or less universally positive outcomes. The correct answer is A. Publish the brochure with the preliminary data, emphasizing the positive trends and noting that some final figures will be updated on the college website later. Explanation. Scenario analysis. This scenario presents a challenge in balancing the need for timely information dissemination with the ethical obligation to ensure accuracy and prevent misrepresentation, particularly in the context of a competitive university admissions process. The pressure to appear successful and attract applicants can lead to a temptation to overstate achievements or present incomplete data. Maintaining integrity and transparency is paramount to upholding the reputation of Alma College and adhering to ethical recruitment practices. Correct approach analysis. The correct approach involves a thorough review and verification of all data points before publication. This ensures that any claims made about student success, program outcomes, or campus life are factually accurate and supported by evidence. This aligns with the ethical principles of honesty and integrity, which are fundamental in educational institutions. Specifically, it adheres to the implicit guidelines of responsible marketing and public relations expected of academic bodies, preventing misleading statements that could harm prospective students or the institution's credibility. Incorrect approaches analysis. Presenting preliminary or unverified data risks disseminating inaccurate information. This is ethically problematic as it can mislead prospective students and their families, potentially influencing their crucial decision-making process based on false premises. It also undermines the institution's credibility and could lead to reputational damage. Focusing solely on positive outcomes while omitting relevant context or negative data constitutes a form of misrepresentation. This lack of transparency can create unrealistic expectations for applicants and is ethically unsound, as it fails to provide a balanced and truthful picture of the college experience. Delaying the release of information indefinitely to achieve an unattainable level of perfection is also an inappropriate response. While accuracy is crucial, an absolute inability to release any information due to an unending pursuit of flawless data can hinder legitimate communication and transparency, potentially creating an information vacuum that could be filled by speculation or misinformation. Professional reasoning. Professionals in university admissions and communications should adopt a framework that prioritizes accuracy and transparency while acknowledging the practicalities of data collection and dissemination. This involves establishing clear internal processes for data verification, setting realistic timelines for reporting, and committing to honest communication about both successes and challenges. When faced with incomplete data, the professional approach is to communicate what is known accurately and to clearly indicate any limitations or preliminary nature of the information, rather than to withhold it entirely or present it as definitive. Question 18. Benchmark analysis indicates that admissions officers at Alma College are tasked with ensuring the fairness and integrity of the Alma College entrance exam. An admissions officer has a close personal relationship with a prospective student who is preparing for the exam. The officer is aware of the student's strong desire to attend Alma College and their potential to succeed, but also recognizes that the student may benefit from some informal guidance on exam preparation strategies. What is the most appropriate course of action for the admissions officer to uphold the principles of the Alma College entrance exam? Option A. Offer to review the student's practice exam responses and provide feedback on areas where they might be struggling, subtly guiding them towards correct answers. Option B. Share general themes and areas of focus that are commonly emphasized in the Alma College entrance exam based on past trends to help the student prioritize their studying. Option C. Provide the student with a list of topics that are likely to appear on the exam, based on the officer's knowledge of the curriculum and exam development process. Option D. Advise the student on general study skills and time management techniques that are applicable to any standardized test, without providing any specific information about the Alma College entrance exam's content or format. The correct answer is D. Advise the student on general study skills and time management techniques that are applicable to any standardized test, without providing any specific information about the Alma College entrance exam's content or format. Explanation. Scenario analysis. This scenario presents a challenge in navigating the ethical and regulatory landscape of university admissions, specifically concerning the Alma College entrance exam. The core difficulty lies in balancing the desire to support a promising candidate with the imperative to uphold the integrity and fairness of the examination process. Admissions officers must exercise sound judgment to avoid any perception or reality of undue influence or preferential treatment, which could compromise the credibility of the exam and the college's admission standards. The pressure to admit talented students, coupled with personal relationships, can create a conflict of interest that requires careful ethical consideration. Correct approach analysis. The correct approach involves strictly adhering to the established Alma College entrance exam guidelines and policies. This means ensuring that all candidates, regardless of their background or any personal connections, are evaluated solely on their performance in the exam and other objective admissions criteria. The process must be transparent and consistently applied to all applicants. This approach is ethically sound because it upholds principles of fairness, equity, and meritocracy, which are fundamental to a credible educational institution. It aligns with regulatory frameworks that mandate impartial admissions processes and prevent conflicts of interest. By focusing on objective merit, the college safeguards its reputation and ensures that admission decisions are based on genuine academic potential. Incorrect approaches analysis. An approach that involves providing the candidate with advance information about the exam content or structure would be a direct violation of the Alma College entrance exam's integrity. This constitutes a serious ethical breach and a regulatory failure, as it undermines the fairness of the assessment and provides an unfair advantage. Such an action would be considered a form of academic dishonesty and could lead to severe penalties for both the candidate and the college. Another incorrect approach would be to subtly steer the candidate towards specific topics or question types during their preparation, even without explicitly revealing exam content. While seemingly less direct, this still represents an attempt to influence the outcome based on insider knowledge rather than the candidate's inherent abilities. This is ethically questionable, as it compromises the spirit of a standardized assessment and can be seen as a form of favoritism. Finally, an approach that involves overlooking minor errors in the candidate's exam submission due to the personal relationship would also be an ethical and regulatory failure. Admissions decisions must be based on the candidate's actual performance, and any deviation from the established grading criteria constitutes preferential treatment. This erodes trust in the admissions process and can lead to the admission of less qualified individuals. Professional reasoning. Professionals in admissions roles should adopt a decision-making framework that prioritizes ethical conduct and regulatory compliance above all else. This involves 1. Understanding and internalizing all relevant policies and guidelines for the Alma College entrance exam. 2. Recognizing potential conflicts of interest and proactively disclosing them if they arise. 3. Maintaining strict impartiality in all interactions with candidates and their families. 4. Focusing on objective criteria for evaluation and decision-making. 5. Seeking guidance from supervisors or ethics committees when faced with ambiguous situations. 6. Prioritizing the long-term integrity and reputation of the institution over short-term pressures or personal considerations. Question 19. Benchmark analysis indicates that applicants to Alma College entrance exam often seek the most effective preparation strategies. Considering the ethical and regulatory framework governing university admissions, which of the following approaches to exam preparation is most aligned with academic integrity and the principles of fair assessment? Option A. Accessing and studying questions from previous exams that have been leaked online without official authorization. Option B. Hiring a tutor who claims to have inside knowledge of the exam's specific content and question types. Option C. Utilizing official study guides and practice materials provided by Alma College and engaging in independent review of subject matter. Option D. Collaborating with other applicants to share answers and strategies during the exam itself. The correct answer is C. Utilizing official study guides and practice materials provided by Alma College and engaging in independent review of subject matter. Explanation. This scenario presents a professional challenge because it requires an applicant to demonstrate an understanding of the ethical and regulatory principles governing academic integrity, specifically in the context of university admissions. The challenge lies in discerning between legitimate preparation and unethical shortcuts, which could have serious consequences for both the applicant and the institution. Careful judgment is required to identify actions that align with the Alma College entrance exam stated values and guidelines. The correct approach involves utilizing publicly available, officially sanctioned study materials and engaging in independent learning strategies. This represents best professional practice because it adheres to the spirit and letter of academic honesty. The Alma College entrance exam, like most reputable academic institutions, expects applicants to demonstrate their own knowledge and abilities. Relying on unauthorized or ethically questionable resources undermines the validity of the assessment and violates principles of fairness and integrity. Specifically, the exam's guidelines, which are implicitly understood to promote a fair and equitable evaluation, will be contravened by using leaked or improperly obtained materials. An incorrect approach that involves seeking out or using leaked exam questions is a direct violation of academic integrity policies. This constitutes academic dishonesty and could lead to disqualification from the exam and potential disciplinary action by Alma College. It undermines the fairness of the admissions process for all applicants. Another incorrect approach, such as paying an individual to complete parts of the exam, is also a severe form of academic misconduct, akin to cheating. This not only violates exam rules but also misrepresents the applicant's capabilities, which is unethical and detrimental to the college's commitment to admitting students based on merit. A third incorrect approach, such as attempting to find insider tips from current students that are not officially sanctioned by the college, borders on seeking an unfair advantage and can be interpreted as a breach of the exam's integrity, even if not as severe as using leaked questions. The professional decision-making process for similar situations should involve a clear understanding of the exam's stated rules and ethical expectations. Applicants should prioritize legitimate study methods, such as reviewing official study guides, practicing with sample questions provided by the college, and seeking clarification from admissions counselors if unsure about acceptable preparation methods. When faced with the temptation of shortcuts, individuals should ask themselves if the proposed method aligns with principles of honesty, fairness, and respect for the academic process. If there is any doubt, the ethically sound decision is to abstain from the questionable practice and adhere strictly to authorized resources and methods. Question 20. Investigation of a submitted essay for the Alma College entrance exam reveals striking similarities to a publicly available online article, raising concerns about potential plagiarism. What is the most appropriate course of action according to the Alma College entrance exam's regulatory framework? Option A. Discuss the similarities with the applicant informally to gauge their understanding of academic integrity. Option B. Immediately notify the admissions committee to disqualify the applicant based on suspected plagiarism. Option C. Conduct a thorough, impartial investigation by comparing the submitted essay against the source material and reporting findings to the designated disciplinary body as per exam guidelines. Option D. Forward the essay to the admissions committee with a note expressing suspicion, allowing them to make the final decision without a formal investigation. The correct answer is B. Immediately notify the admissions committee to disqualify the applicant based on suspected plagiarism. Explanation. This scenario presents a professional challenge due to the inherent conflict between maintaining academic integrity and responding to a potential violation of the Alma College entrance exam's regulatory framework. The pressure to act swiftly while ensuring fairness and adherence to established procedures requires careful judgment. The Alma College entrance exam's guidelines are paramount, and any deviation could have significant consequences for the applicant and the institution. The correct approach involves a thorough, impartial investigation that strictly adheres to the Alma College entrance exam's established protocols for suspected academic misconduct. This means gathering all relevant evidence, including the applicant's submission and any comparative materials, and then presenting these findings to the designated disciplinary committee or authority as outlined in the exam's regulations. This approach is correct because it upholds the principles of due process and fairness, ensuring that any decision is based on objective evidence and in accordance with the specific rules governing the exam. It prioritizes the integrity of the admissions process by following the prescribed investigative and adjudicative steps, thereby protecting the reputation of Alma College and ensuring a level playing field for all applicants. An incorrect approach would be to immediately disqualify the applicant based on a preliminary suspicion without a formal investigation. This fails to provide the applicant with an opportunity to respond or present their case, violating principles of natural justice and the specific procedural safeguards likely embedded within the Alma College entrance exam's regulations. Another incorrect approach would be to ignore the potential violation due to a desire to avoid conflict or a perceived lack of resources for investigation. This constitutes a failure to uphold the regulatory framework and compromises the integrity of the admissions process, potentially allowing unqualified or dishonest applicants to gain admission. A third incorrect approach would be to consult with colleagues informally to reach a consensus on the applicant's guilt or innocence without following the formal reporting and investigation procedures. This bypasses the established governance structure and lacks the necessary documentation and impartiality required for a fair resolution. Professionals in this situation should employ a decision-making framework that begins with identifying the relevant regulatory framework, Alma College entrance exam guidelines. Next, they should assess the nature of the suspected violation and the available evidence. The critical step is to consult the specific procedures for handling such incidents within the framework. This involves initiating the formal investigation process, documenting all actions and findings meticulously, and referring the matter to the appropriate authority for adjudication. The focus should always be on procedural fairness and adherence to the established rules, ensuring that decisions are both compliant and ethically sound.